Thursday. Feels like Friday to me, Carrie.
It, it,
Um,
it's got Friday vibes in the air for sure.
it it does have Friday vibes in the air. Give me a second. I'm on my mobile looking at LinkedIn. I know we're on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube, Facebook, X. For those of you, Twitter. Um, do you still call it Twitter? Do you guys call it Twitter? Listen, if you're just joining us, let us know that you're here in the comments. I'm here with Carrie Kirby, founder of 365 Connect, and also chair of technology here for the Multifamily Innovation Council. I'm Patrick Antrim, the chair of Multifamily Innovation Council, and every week we have the opportunity to sit in and talk with multifamily owners and operators around the current challenges, the current opportunities. And in these meetings, we've been moving to solve real business problems, not just to get together and talk. And the members themselves are the ones that are bringing the ideas and bringing the collective genius together to formulate some of these ideas. And we've been able to do some fun things. And I think it's what, Carrie, has it been, what, 2 years? I
I
got to
think
get the
we're
data on that. It's like more than two
yeah.
years
I think
now.
we're north of 2 years now. Yes.
Yeah, north of 2 years. Let me see if I can do the uh, X. Scott, he calls it X. Awesome. So I can see your comments. That was from LinkedIn, I believe, Scott. You're on LinkedIn, I believe. So appreciate that. Yeah, so more than 2 years. We have a roadmap for some pretty exciting things for 2024. Can you believe it's already 2024?
Just like a blink of an eye, and here we are. We're just at the Innovation Summit a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. Bryant, hello. Hey, Bryant, speaking of Innovation Summit, we will be restreaming. And what I mean by that is sharing the people that showed up at our innovation showcase. Bryant crushed the audience. He stood stage and gave I think it was a 12-minute talk at the summit around what he's doing around business intelligence and really reinventing the way that we think about planning and helping our employees become more capable of explaining financial objectives. And Bryant's done some really cool things as an operator and now has built this technology called Visibly. Put a link in there, Bryant, to your website, because I've got a couple emails this week where somebody reached out and they're like, hey, who was that guy that was talking about this? And so I've made some introductions this week. But Bryant, appreciate you showing up and commanding that stage and sharing some of the things that we do. And, Carrie, Jimmy from your team did the same thing. But one of the things that's special now that I'm leaning into this is there's so much coming at us right now that we can't do everything. And it's really about focus and what's going to move the needle in our business. Now, Jimmy, you guys were talking about automating entirely everything to where you could centralize and do some really interesting things with the lease and everything. But what Bryant, I'm sorry, was talking about was really compelling, and we'll be sharing that live probably over the holidays. I think it'll be the what is it when they play the movies over and over during the year? We'll be streaming it, so stick around and make sure you
We're
you
going to
watch
be
for that.
we're going to be binging the Innovation Showcase channel.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, thanks for stopping by, Bryant. Good to see you, or good to hear from you. So, Carrie, what's one of the things that you appreciate most about being in these weekly meetings with the Innovation Council? Off the cuff? What are your
You
key thoughts?
it's like a treasure trove. It's great to hear people that throw are transparent and throw some of the problems on the table that they're trying to tackle. It's great to see members that have been there, done it, lending a hand and saying, hey, we did this and this. It might not work for you, but this is what we tried. And everybody just, you know, kind of hitting the ball back and forth to trying to solve things, including people saying, hey, let's have, call me, let's have a deeper discussion on this. I think it can help you with this. So I think it's just the interaction that people are truly don't view each other as competitors in the space. It's like, hey, we're here to solve problems and figure things out. And, as you know, technology is huge. So we talk about technology all the time. What can we solve going forward with technology? Everybody has challenges. We have, interest rate hikes, insurance increases. The expenses have not let off the accelerator, and but some of our rents, depending on what market you're in, have declined some. So it's trying to figure it out, and I think we're entering a new era in our business where we're going to see some new operating models come out that are more tech enabled, and I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on the replay too, put in the comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. What are your biggest challenges you see as 2024, and what do you see as the biggest opportunities? Where do you think you can move the needle the most in terms of productivity, profitability, creating an experience? Neaton in our council meeting said something I thought was really interesting, which is he talks about what is it that we actually do? What is it that we provide? And he mentioned, is it housing? Is it like shelter at its very basic level? And I think you could make arguments around different asset classes and around that, right? Is it an alternative to home purchasing? Is it an experience, right? Or is it a step to the home purchase, right? So you start to think about things differently in your business, and it opens up opportunities to message differently. And honestly, if we didn't have these discussions, we wouldn't be colliding with some of these moments where you go into your next meeting and you have a better question to ask, or you're asking somebody to think about the problem differently because you have access to a diverse mastermind of people that are tackling the same problems. Fraud came up in our last meeting as something that we need to create some structure around to truly approach. Now, a lot of people are trying to do it, solve it in different ways. But ultimately, we'll need to make our own decisions, trust our own instincts, and do what's best for our own business. But it does make sense to have the community support behind. You're not the only one that is willing to try something new, or you're not the only one that is out there trying to innovate or make the experience better. And sometimes it just kind of need that little nudge of motivation and inspiration from others. I get it every week. And I know Karen and we sat down during way back in the pandemic days. We were just on these calls. I'm like, you know what? Why don't we ended up just saying, let's just do this on Fridays. We'll kind of batch our activities, and then started inviting members. And now here it is today, and it's becoming something unique and different than I think anything else that's available out there. So
Yeah, I think when we started, we were just kind of trying to figure out where things were going, and then eventually we said, "Hey, what if we, brought some property side, people to this call, and it kind of just took off from there, and then look where we're at today. I mean, we have a lot of units being represented in Innovation Council, and the ideas exchange are incredible, right? Because we have different size operators, large operators, medium size operators, and smaller operators, and some learn off the others. We've got a guy who's not that big in the Innovation Council. He's got centralization pretty well figured out. I mean, he's been doing it before it was a thing, right? And then people grab that information. He was on one of the panels, and take that and learn from him. So some of the stuff that comes around is absolutely incredible.
yeah, I'm loving it. Lorena's here with us today. Lorena's been amazing to have in there. What is she? Oh, this is just a note from one of the other commenters. So, okay, cool. What do you guys think are the top things? Like put in the chat there. Like, what do you think if you owned and managed and ran a multifamily company, what's going to move the needle the most in your business? I'd love to hear from you guys if what you think that is. You know, revenue lift is always an opportunity, but at some point, getting the customer to continue to just pay more obviously becomes a challenge. And that's where this idea of finding other ways, other paths to the income on the total makes sense in these meetings, is to determine what other ways, how can we operate more efficiently, how can we get more scale through these efforts, so then we don't have to depend on, you know, uh, situations that are sometimes out of our control, you know.
Yeah, the other thing I hear a lot of, Patrick, and Innovation Council is, people are more concerned, I think, about that end user experience than ever before, because we're so tech enabled now, or we're moving to heavy tech enabled, but so many of the pieces to the puzzle relying on technology. So, before it was like, well, throw something up there, we have something. But people are more concerned about what that product is, how does it work, what's it like on the other side of it. So it's from a guy in tech, it's great to hear those things, because sometimes you put your heart and soul in designing something, and it's like you feel like it goes unnoticed. But now people are really wanting to see those interfaces and how things work, and how can they deliver a better experience. Because if you look outside our industry, user experience on the on tech enabled products now are huge. I mean, that's the focus of Fortune 500 companies on down today, is how can we make this better and better.
Yeah, and because of that, I'm seeing more and more companies wanting to, I don't want to say build their own things, but have a little bit more flexibility over, what they use, even with their point solutions, among other things too, like moving, even just having control of our data, right? Just having a better understanding of maybe some unique analysis or reporting I want to do with something that I'm using already. But I don't want to call that vendor and say, hey, build this custom thing for me, because that's impossible to do, right? I mean, you can't build for every customer in many cases.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are looking for products to be more flexible, and yeah, you can't, in a SaaS platform, you want to build a thing and it's used widely. But it's like we always say, we've never found two companies in this industry, and we've been doing this 20 years now, that you know do the same thing exactly alike. So I think products need to be more flexible now. I mean, we're doing it on our side so that those things can be easily customizable to a point. When you talk customization in a SaaS platform, they don't go well together in the back end on technology, because it gets a little messy. But I think some of the interfaces and things that people are looking and pop data in and out are critical to what people are looking for going forward.
Yeah, and I've been speaking recently around bilingual. In other words, understanding the domain of, look, I understand real estate. I understand how to put deals together, equity partners, capital stack. I understand the P&L. I know how to run an operation, lead teams, all that stuff. And that's great. And that's what got us here. And that path of income and path of my own experience comes from a world that is completely re-envisioned and reimagined today in terms of So you probably have my sound back. I've been talking too
Yeah.
much. I lost my battery. Like literally, it's a 12-hour battery. That's a good signal, right? Where did you lose me, by the way? Do you remember? Or
I I don't. I think we got off of user experience and
okay,
products being more flexible, and you were people want to get out,
yeah.
get
So
beyond, get more point systems to integrate better, and then
yeah, so I was saying, like, as a real estate leader today, we're really talking about this idea of being bilingual and understand. Like, I understand real estate equity partners, JV deals. I know how to structure capital, lead the teams. I understand the asset, the property, and people, and I can build a great company. But that company and our own experience as we've grown through the industry and through our own journey to where we are today is very different. And there's a lot of people cashing $1 million checks, feeling on top of the game, knowing like they've built this great big organization. The reality is where we go from here and where it's next is going to be completely different in how work gets done, where work gets done, who does the work. And in some cases, we're seeing like pulling things that don't need to be handled on site, off site, in other aspects, in many cases, automated. So it's no longer enough to just know real estate and I know deals and I know, capital structure and I can negotiate and all those things. That's not enough today. Number one, the employees, as someone who researches companies nationally and just celebrated almost 100 companies at our event and Multifamily Innovation Summit, we know that employees expect more from our organizations. They expect more contribution, they expect more fulfillment, they don't want to do redundant tasks, they don't want to just sit there and copy and paste data. And that's putting pressure financially on those organizations that have high turnover and all those things. So, the leader of the future, I believe, understands both technology and real estate because as developers, we've built apartment buildings, we've built, big cities, communities, and we understand already really well how to work together with partners. We know how to bring disciplines together from contractors to roofers to floors to interior designers, framers, drywall, like all the disciplines that have to come together to build a building that stands strong over time needs to be the same approach with technology, right? And if your technology doesn't, the data doesn't flow right, and you don't even own your own data or have access to your data, you can't make good decisions about the business. Pulling it back, I think if you don't understand technology or you're not willing because you're on top of your game to learn it, then you have to agree to know like you're at a disadvantage in your ability to make quick, swift decisions about the organization and the future of the organization. And so that's one of the things that I'm championed with as part of the Multifamily Innovation Council is to bring up the understanding of the technology, bring awareness around what's possible with more efficient operations, you know, um, automation, all these types of things. But we don't do that just to do that. We do that because it's going to move the needle in the business. It's going to make a problem go away. It's going to create an experience for the customer, the resident, the experience, or the investor to protect capital over time. Anyway, so I've gone on a little riff here, but Carrie, I mean, that's what I've got you in there too for is like sharing this technology stuff is to give that gut check and that pulse check on like, hey, it's one thing to not do something because it's not possible, but a lot of the things that you want to do today are possible, and it's just a matter of thinking differently about it and expanding your reach around who you need to work with to make that thing happen. So um, I'm going to
yeah,
read my a little comment here from Dustin. So let's see here. He's talking about, I will say right now, our clients are more focused on in unit features than asset amenities. Interesting. Okay. Quality appliances are standing out more than a pool or leasing office. Absolutely. Like, think about this. People are not just living there, they're also working in many cases at home more than we've ever expected. The remaining life of even some of these appliances were not for work lunch, right? It was for dinner, maybe breakfast, because they're out at work or at the job site doing stuff. So yeah, I agree with that. That's pretty interesting. Um, Anything else that you can think of, Carrie?
interesting on that point. I had several people tell me that because more people are home now or working remote, they actually have more. They notice more things and they get more, service requests because
Yeah.
people are there. So I think, yeah, I think people are more focused on that. A lot of remote work going on, and you want a nice place to hang out, and sometimes if you're building new, it's pretty easy, now, hey, I need to put, uh, an extra or a nook or something in here for a computer system. But it's definitely changed. I know a lot of properties that have taken space in their leasing offices, the big clubhouses that were built and made co-working space just for people that wanted to get out of their apartment. Highly successful. So yeah, I think Dustin's spot on. They're definitely more focused in that unit than outside.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the comment, Dustin. And we had no plan. By the way, I just texted Carrie. I'm like, "Hey, you want to go live and jump on?" He's like, "Well, I got a meeting in 15 minutes. So are we still okay, Carrie?"
Yeah, we're good for a few more minutes. I will be fashionably late just because it's an internal meeting.
I say we have him join. Let's bring him on. Anybody tuning in have any questions you want to ask? I would love to, if it's questions about the council, um, anything else you want to ask. I would love to hear from you guys. We do have some people tuned in here, but I love the format because we do a lot of different things. We have the in-person experience where events in person, in a lot of ways, are in many ways set up for the extroverts, the people that enjoy like getting out there. But the way that we do some of our, well, most of our in-person events are, we take that into consideration. Not everybody is out there in an extrovert way. Like we want to make sure that we contribute and understand all the different ways to collect and communicate with each other. And so, but on these, it's really nice because whenever we do the live broadcasts, like our innovation showcase from the studio and stuff, it's sometimes easier just to type the question than to like become like, hey, I want to public speak right now. Come to the microphone and share. You can make a comment. So if anybody feels courageous, yeah, Lorena put in the chat the link to join the Multifamily Innovation Council. All the information is on that page. You just click that link, scroll down. There's a button that says become a member. Once you become a member, you'll get an opportunity to meet with Lorena one-on-one and bring you on into the meetings. These meetings happen every Friday. It's not required to attend every Friday meeting. But when you join today, it's almost as if you've been with us the whole time because we have a members area where we go back and we've got everything from reading lists to recordings of all the past meetings, and so you can go through that and really in your own time binge some of those meetings and move the needle in your business. And it becomes having this diverse sort of innovation arm in your business that's and I think it was David White that said like you cannot really innovate from the inside. You need some outside perspective to to truly make that type of movement in your business. So, but Lorena put the link there. Go ahead and click that if you want to join us. We'd love to
Yeah,
explore an opportunity
and
to bring more members.
the other thing on the Innovation Council, Patrick, is just that this is an ongoing thing. We meet every Friday, and I'm always surprised. Like it's Friday mornings that everybody's looking forward to it and comes in. And look, yeah, I go to a lot of events. You go to events. It's tough to get out and go to things all the time. And when you go, it's a lot going on. There's a lot of fragmentation. But here it's like, wow, everybody's in the room, as even though it's a virtual room, and it's just really a great atmosphere, great conversations we're having, and it's really time focused. We set an hour, so it's kind of like I call it's an hour to work on your business instead of in your business, and I think just so much comes out of it. I'm excited every Friday that we get on those on those meetings because I see the needle being moved, and I see that hey, people willing to share information and help others still exist.
Yeah, and so many ways you see associations today. It's like the companies join them, and this is individuals that join that are committed personally and professionally to making an impact in their business, in their career, doubling their income, doubling their network, having a more diverse perspective of their viewpoints, and sometimes just validating them. Am I crazy here? But this is what we're thinking. Like, what do you guys think? I love that. And when you mention on the business versus in the business, it's easier to say than to actually do, right? Lorena made a comment here about attending one event a year. We feel that in-person experiences are really remarkable. You can't fake it. It's truly, we're all wired to be in community and connected, and to sometimes move negotiations and move relationships forward. And there's no better time to do that is in person, right? The challenge is it's not only that. And so what we're doing is, think of it like 52 events for the price of one. Is we have our annual event because we pick the 10, 20 ideas that are going to move the needle in your business. Like, look here, curate this. And if you did this, you're going to 2x cash flow, or you're going to do something that's going to make life better for your employees, your cash flow, your business. But throughout the year, we're going to stick with you, because things move so fast between these moments that you have to stay in rhythm around what's happening. Because if you're waiting 3 months to learn about something, you're going to be way behind with the pace of change that's happening, I think, not only just in our industry but in our world.
Yeah, and
All right.
things move fast, especially today, right? Things are moving, and hey, we look at markets have been going up. Interest rates were supposed to come back down, but we still have, I call it some collateral damage from all that stuff, and we still have other things that are not very controllable going on in the market. So it's good to hear people throw some of those things on the table and say, yeah, I got a portfolio and I got two properties that are running upside down, because they got reset, on an interest rate we had come and due, and it moved the needle the wrong way, and we're working through it. And these are some of the things we're doing. So it's great to hear the good, bad, the ugly, and sometimes the indifferent, and just get it out on the table.
Yeah, Carrie mentioned in her comment, no fluff in the meeting. Um, it's all real tactical topics that actually help the business. I love that too. Thanks for sharing that. Um, and you know, another aspect of this is when it becomes our breeding ground of what topics are important when we do podcasts, and who speaks at our event, what we talk about. Just evaluating that in a collective mind around the council members, knowing like these are the priorities. It's one thing to like know things, but it's like, well, what do we do first, right? And so I'm excited about that. And then even 2024, I know we'll be back in our meetings, and we're really talking about how we can move to really solving business challenges, and not just learning or talking, but literally taking the challenge, coming up with a structure, moving through a solution with it, and then bringing in the expert speakers to help the council members learn at scale outside of a sales conversation, right? So that's been, um, one of the things I think that's a nice takeaway. All right, Carrie, I'm going to let you get to your meeting. It doesn't look like we have any more questions. If you guys have questions, let us know, or topics that we should cover. I want to do more and um, more time, at on the networks, wherever that may be, sharing key ideas with key people around what's going to help us make a great industry even better than it already is. So, with that, I guess we'll wrap from here. Any final thoughts you want to leave us with, Carrie, before we wrap?
Just want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. I know we're rolling into the that time where things kind of slow down a little bit, and certainly appreciate all of our members of the Innovation Council that have joined us. I'm excited. I know we're taking a little break with the holidays, but excited to see them all right after the first of the year and get back to figuring out the roadmap to 2024.
Awesome. Appreciate what you're doing as well. So, all right, guys, we'll see you until we see you next time. All right. Take care.